All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach Kevin. I am your host, Kevin Thornton, the wellness architect, and we are going to have an amazing show today. I went home for Memorial Day weekend, and um, I got very motivated by
Okay.
seeing all my classmates doing very well, doing great things, and I felt led to say, let me reach out to some of my classmates and say, show the world what they are doing and how um, Black people are doing great things um, in the world. So, this first person I want to introduce to you guys is somebody I graduated with. She has done amazing things, and I want just to introduce her to the world, have a conversation because she is now a relationship coach. And so, in the state of the world today, with black love and gender wars, I thought it'd be a great conversation for us to have and introduce her to the world. So, without no further ado, I want to introduce to you Coach Dina Oliver. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing
I am
good.
grateful that you have thought of me.
Man, it's no,
I'm
like I
actually
said,
honored that I'm the first one.
yeah, it was funny because I did Jolly back before he the one convinced me to come to the all class reunion. And so
Okay.
I came over the weekend and I went and I saw all these people, especially from our class, that's doing so well. So I said, let me start. Say I want to introduce you. I want to interview you. I want to interview you, and then, but when I sat down, and got back to Atlanta, you was the first one I reached out to. So I wanted you to be the
Well,
first
I
one
appreciate
I
that.
talked to. Yes, ma'am. So tell everybody who you are and what you do, and how'd you become where you are right now.
Okay. Well, my name is Dina. And as Kevin has just mentioned, we went to school together. I want to say K through 12.
Absolutely.
I believe K through 12, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Upon graduation from high school, I went to the University of Cincinnati for 2 years, but I actually graduated from Cleveland State University
Okay.
with a social work degree. So I went to school for social work. Throughout my social work career, I've worked at Salvation. Wait a minute, where did I? Salvation Army Harbor Light Complex, in which I work with state and county residents, offenders who were either came there as a sentencing for court, or those who were coming from prison and re-entering. Then
Mhm.
briefly, I worked at the free clinic. I worked with HIV clients. That was about 2.5 years. And currently, I work for the court system in Greater Cleveland, in which I work with domestic violence clients. I've done various things there. And
Mhm.
then, once you reach a certain point, it's like, I could do this. I could do this on my own. And I was going to try to do some things with like social work. And they're like, so I started doing my research, and it was just kind of like, well, you got to have this degree, you got to have this label, this, that, this. So I said, you know what? Then I started doing some research on becoming a coach.
Mhm.
And I mean, I already have about 30 years experience,
Mhm.
of working, in this field, I'll say. And so I said the coaching business was a little less regulated. They said it's $1 billion industry. So
Mhm.
what I did was I took a course to become certified to make myself a little more marketable, so that people would know that I have, some
Mhm.
credentials behind my name. And so here I am. And then I did a few, other things, working up under some coaches, still working, still doing that, still
Okay.
trying to learn and be all I could be.
That's
so
good.
to speak.
So, what made you decide to focus on relationships?
Well, I decided to work on relationships because it has always been something that I wanted to do. I seen myself on stages ministering to, audiences on relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
at I mean, uh and I did go through, a marriage. I'm divorced now, but I went through a marriage or whatever, and I said, and I thought about my life, what went on. Um, I dealt with, I'll just say, a serial cheater or whatever the case may be, and sometimes, and in the words of Iyanla Vanzant, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can overstay your welcome.
Yeah.
You could overstay your welcome, and it may be because of the kids, it may be because of that. But one day I had to look at myself and say, what is wrong with me? Why am I staying here? Like, I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do this. I mean, so I just really had to say to myself, what is going on with me? And I
Mm-hmm.
just want to be able to help other people not overstay their welcome.
Absolutely.
Because one thing for sure is this: for as much as people talk about all men are dogs, this, that, I believe that relationships can work. I believe that there are that you can have a healthy relationship. But if you choose to, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people today are not choosing to
Mm-hmm.
maintain a certain relationship. They're more interested in optics. What does it look
Very
like?
well said. Very well said.
Hmm.
And to piggyback off what you said about, I feel I'm gonna use both genders when they
Okay.
say when they say there's no good men out here, or they say there's no good women out here.
Yes.
Um, my pushback is, um, you can't control the other gender, but you can control you. And so you have to ask yourself, is something within you and your thought process or who you are that's attracting those people to you? So instead of complaining about them not being no, there not being no good men, you have to ask yourself, what is it within me, and either my thought process or who I am, that's attracting these people to me? That's the only thing you can control is
Hmm.
figuring that out and fixing that. Because once you fix that within you, then you're going to attract a different caliber type of person. So that's why I always try to push back on, because it's easier for a man or a woman to say what the other person's not doing, because then
Hmm.
that way they take the accountability away from them. And I think most people don't want to be held accountable of the why. So even
Hmm.
in your so like in your situation, he was a serial cheater, but then all you could do is just ask, like you said, ask yourself, why why am I staying here?
Hmm.
What's my why? Why am I staying here? So in that way, you can figure that out. So
Right.
I really I really respect that. I'm glad that you are following uh your journey and your assignment. How has it been so far? I know you're on the beginning stages, but how do you like it so far?
Oh, I like it so far. And one of the things, just to kind of go back to what you said,
Hmm.
one of my models is the healthier that you are in terms of, your whole being, your mental health, all of that. Um, all of your whole being, mental, spiritual, physical, you're going to pick a healthier mate. The healthier you are in your thought process, you're bound to pick a healthier mate, because you're not going to negotiate things such as, well, it might be this about him, but I could deal with it. You're not gonna knock the red flags down like you
Right.
would if you know what you want, what you don't want, and you're not gonna be going
Mhm.
through all that negotiating, or maybe I could deal with this. Well, it's okay if he smoke. Everything else is good. But if that's one of your non-negotiables, we can't go with that. But
Right.
dealing with people on a daily basis and hearing different stories, some days I find myself at home like I thought I heard it all, but I haven't.
Mhm.
Some days I'm
Right.
just like, really? And it's not to be judgmental because you do have to meet people where they are, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's, you have to meet people where they are. So,
And I think one of the craziest things too is that, you know, you have a lot of people, uh, they want to get married, and like you said, they have to do the natural work on themselves, and you have to be okay with being by yourself.
you do.
You have to be okay with being by yourself, and you have to learn how to enjoy your own company. If you don't enjoy your own company and you don't know how to love yourself and be in love with yourself, how can someone else be in love with you and love you if you're not able to do it for yourself? And that's one of the things that I really, push on to people when I coach them. It's like, the first thing that you should ever try to do is focus on your own self love. And
Mhm.
so when I see people, I have friends that, you know, they dump one, they get another one, and I'm like, yo, you haven't even taken no time to really be with yourself and really assess yourself on, you know, what was the lesson you need to learn from the situation. If you just go from one to another, all you're going to attract is the same version of that person, but in a different body.
Mhm.
And you can't be mad at the guys or the women because you chose them because you too busy being scared that you don't want to be by yourself. You don't want to be alone. So then therefore I'm just gonna go and find the next person instead of just being alone with myself, being alone with my thoughts, and figure out, you know, who I am and what do I actually need in life to be happy.
Mhm. The biggest thing too is that a lot of work. Okay. And
Hmm.
especially a marriage, it requires a lot of work. And most people don't want to put the work in. They
Hmm.
like the they're in love with being with the wedding, the one day of the wedding, but not the
Hmm.
marriage and what the Institute of Marriage call for in sickness and in health, in rich or poor. They don't take that into consideration a lot of times. It's like, oh, he ain't working, oh, I'm out. Mm-mm. Or vice
Hmm.
versa. And it takes a lot of work. And most people don't want to put the work in, especially today. That's not happening. People are not putting in any work that it takes, and they want to. I want them tall, dark, and handsome. But tall, dark,
Hmm.
and handsome may not, may not suit your needs. Tall, dark, and
Hmm.
handsome may be abusive. Tall, dark, and handsome may be a cheater. Tall, dark, and handsome, may not work, or he may not be respectful, or.
Hmm.
So people have to look at what does your ideal mate, what does that look like to you? You
Right.
know, and it
And
may not.
then you have to ask yourself the criteria that you need in that person. Do you have that same criteria to give to that person back?
Mhm.
And if you don't, then how can you ask? How can you ask that of that person if you can't give it back to them? And my question for you is: you see all over social media how the women, and not even on social media, I've ran to men, older men, guys our age range, guys younger, who are um, saying that it's hard for them to date now because all the women are pretty much looking for the same type of man. They want the men that are, you know, minimum of six figures that could give them that soft lifestyle. And when the majority of men make 50, $60,000 a year.
Mhm.
So if you all are searching the same type of dude, then there's a bunch of men out here who are lonely because most of the women are after the same type of guys. So what would you say to the women who are looking for these high value men, uh, and it could be overlooking their ideal mate because he don't make enough or he can't afford a lifestyle that they want to live. What would you say to them?
I would say you really have to take a look at yourself. And sometimes some things are real simple. I always say you could take a sheet of paper, fold it down the middle, write your pros and your cons. Okay. You have to look deeper than the beauty of it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to look deeper than, oh, what does he look like? Is his hair this? Is his that? Does he dry that? You have to look deeper than that, because sometimes you can meet people, and I've heard people. I've talked to women who were married to pastors, who were married to six-figure people. But what does that look like to you? Meaning that person that's making six figures, he may not be able to be there with you all the time. He may have to travel. He may not be able to be there for you every holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have somebody that could be there to provide, your every need. But because you feel he don't make enough money, you're overlooking him. But
Mm-hmm.
he could do some of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
You might come home and dinner's cooked, bath water ran, but you're overlooking that,
Right.
and you can't overlook that. I think that today a lot of women are not looking at the real. They have some unrealistic expectations. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say they will have to be realistic in their expectations. And when they're looking at the pros and cons on their sheet, you got to really look at what's really going on. Like, is this realistic? Is this someone that I can really actually see? Because how many men are really making six figures?
Mm-hmm.
And and
Right.
and that's okay. And I'm saying that to say that that's okay, because if you love him, you get along, he's not being abusive to you, then we have to look at that. He's nice, he's respectful. You have to look, a little deeper into the person.
Right. I agree. I agree. So, what do you say um, to the men? Because
Mm,
there's a lot of men out there. It's twofold. It's it's there's a lot of men out there who are in a space they would like to get married, but they are in competition per se um, with the high value men. So they're the ones that are not being seen. Those are the ones that are not being, considered as a potential um, husband. But they don't want to give up on love, but yet they feel like there's no chance for them because most of the women now are looking for one particular type of guy. So you spoke to the women, and what would you say to these young men that want to get married, but they feel like their options are slim now because most of the women want high value men, and they are not that.
well, first I would say, look at the value within yourself, because there's still value in the man that's not making six figures. The
Mhm.
man that's not making six figures may even be more valuable than the man who is making six figures, because we want to look at things in terms of character. That's value to me. Someone that's
Mhm.
faithful, that's value to me, you know. So, you know, when it comes to, I think social media has played a big role.
Mhm.
Reality TV has played a big role in what people are thinking today. We can get on screen and be who we want to be and then not be the truth. So I think you have to be real with yourself when you're choosing a mate, and not get caught up in, again, I guess, the optics of it. Like, is this
Mhm.
person really down for you? Does this person, are they there for you? When you call them, do they answer? Do they have unaccountable time to you? Are they committed to you? And I think those are some of the things you got to look at. Do they take care of their children if they have children? you
Mhm.
know what are you looking for in this woman? What is it that uh write down your, I would say the same thing, write down, what this person look like, your pros and cons. What do you want? I would say to do that as well. But you have to be true to yourself. And more than anything, and that goes for both genders, is people have to be whole and healed,
Hmm.
before they go jumping into relationships. Because sometimes we can make a bad choice, on a rebound love. We can make a
Absolutely.
bad choice because, well, it's been 3, 4 years, and I just met her, and I was just lonely. So you really have to make a choice you know, on your whole self, WHOLE, like
Hmm.
being whole and making a great decision that way. Because just they say it's more more men have an easier time choosing women than the other way around, because they say it's a shortage of men. But I say in relationships, a quality relationship, it is slim pickings. My
Hmm.
father said all the time, it's slim pickings out here. You hate to be out here, by yourself, because you want someone that's real,
Hmm.
that can be truthful, that can be honest with you. That's something I think is important, that is important to have in a relationship,
Very much
you
so.
know.
And
And I hope I answered.
though you did, and my question is like, so, well, what's your thoughts on the state of a lot of these young adults or these adults now growing up without a father, and that the father, the absence of
Hmm.
the father being a catalyst too in the state that we're in relationships, because you have the women who grew up without a father say they never have had that male figure they fell in love with, who shows them what love is. But then they also live with their mom, and sometimes the mother is telling them that you don't need no man, and you go after yourself. You can get all these degrees, and then from there, but you're lonely, but you still want that man. And then from the male perspective, the father's not there to show them how to be a man, how to treat a woman, and all that. And then the mothers love their sons, so they tend to coddle their sons. So then they go from being coddled by their mom, then try to find someone out there in the streets that's gonna do the same thing that the mother did. So, what do you think that the lack of the father or this um, two family household has an effect on the state of relationships today as well?
It definitely has a major effect, on relationships today. And I'm trying to think of this book, the name of it. I have to get it to you later. But it plays a big role, because it's a lot of women out here who are choosing men based on their daddy issues. It
Mm-hmm.
could be an older man. And in some cases it may even be a man that's abusive, but he's giving me some sort of attention. And like you say, because we haven't seen um positive relationships, we tend to we may tend to kind of look at things like, oh well, this is what I seen growing up, so it must be okay. People don't stay together like they used to, like our grandparents or great grandparents did. They don't see, it's like the first thing they see now, they want to run. Something ain't
Right.
going right, I'm out, I'm gone. you know
Mm-hmm.
but the daddy plays a major role in both their daughter and son's life. And when,
Mm-hmm.
even though, we hear more about co-parenting, even in that situation of co-parenting, they still get to observe daddy, what he's doing. But I think it leaves a big hole. And because it leaves a big hole in people's lives, people out here are trying to figure things out. They're operating in relationships, and they're not healthy relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but they're operating out of the pain from the growing up, from the lack of the father
There you
being
go.
being in the
Absolutely.
home. So they're
And
basing
that's
somebody.
that's that's women and men, ladies.
Absolutely.
Men do the same thing. Men are out here dating women or trying to get with women because they're trying to fill a void, the void of the lack of love they did not receive at home, whether it's from the mom or the dad, because that lack of love from one of those two makes the man feel like they were not worthy of love. So they trying to find someone
Hmm.
to fill that void of that lack of worthiness. So I think that's why when
Hmm.
you keep saying we have to be whole, that's a major thing that is true because in the state where majority a lot of these people now are growing up in one family households, everybody has traumas, and so if you don't heal
Hmm.
those traumas, then you're going to attract yourself to someone who that bonds with you with that trauma. And I just think
Exactly.
so. Then therefore, they really have to. Everybody has to really do the work on healing themselves. You know, uh, forgiving the parents for not being to give them the love that they deserve or they needed. Because if you don't do that, that's could still be part of the issue. And so, um,
Hmm.
I just think everybody's so quick to want to fall in love and get married. But like you said, the first thing they need to do is do the work on themselves first. That's not a pretty sight. That's not
Hmm.
it's not it's not glamorous. But if you want the quality marriage, you have to do that first.
Hmm. People don't go underneath. Now
No.
we'll go buy a new car, we'll go buy a new outfit, we'll go to the hairdresser, the barber shop, we'll groom ourselves, we'll look good on the outside, but on the inside, we got a lot of gunk or junk in there, that we need to get out of us and become, a better person. We have to work, and that's both men and women.
Hmm.
That's not just one gender; it's both of them. We got to do the work. We can't you can't be lazy about something that, especially if you're talking about marriage, you want to spend your life with somebody.
Right.
You that's like making a major purchase. You got to put the work in, and you can't because you know sometimes I think back like at what point should I have like not did this or you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying, like you know but we're young, we make decisions, um and my sister and we always tease about our previous marriage or whatever, and we say we got our PhDs, you know we got our PhD from within
Mhm.
that relationship that we were in. So now it's like it's a matter of do better. So, when and I do believe if we know better, we tend to do better.
Mhm.
Knowledge is power. And we have to use the knowledge that we have. And, it's help out here. Like you say, we don't have control over nobody but ourselves. And with that being said, with us only having control over ourselves, okay, so maybe the issue is maybe someone did grow up without a dad. Maybe someone grew up without a mom. Okay, so what am I going to do to fix that, to fill that void or to heal or to grieve or whatever the case may be, so that I could be good to my kids, my future relationship, and on and on and on. So we can't just always hold, we can't just use that as a constant excuse as, well, I can't do this, well, I grew up this way, and I am, and yes, that has happened. People have grown up in some horrible situations, but we got to figure out what it is we can do to make ourselves better so that we can be in a good relationship, a healthy relationship, because maybe things weren't all that, but we can do better. We could put in some work.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a question. Um, Now I want you pretty much like words of encouragement because you are now transitioning into a whole new version of you. You're going from, the social worker. Now you
Mhm.
going to the coach, and you get a lot of times you get people who say it's too late to make a change. It's too late to do this, and here you are about to make this change. Can you speak to the listeners who who are looking to make a career change or maybe start that business, but the fear in them is telling them it's too late? What would you tell that person?
Well, first I say it's never too late.
Right.
um, I mean, even like I say, I just don't believe it's never too late. Um, I probably wish I had done this a long time ago, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but I believe every experience that I've had is just taking me to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much out here, when I think about it's right at our fingertips, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the information we can get. Because that's the one thing I said, I can't see me back in school no more. I'm like, I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
back that just wasn't something that I wanted to do. I've had
Right.
30 years of school and I got a lot of knowledge, that can come out. It's never too late to, change your career to do something different,
Mm-hmm.
and once many people I hear say, I wish I had done it a long time ago, once they start to make that change. But I think sometimes people walk in fear,
Mm-hmm.
we procrastinate, we walk in fear like, oh, it's too late, I can't. And sometimes you just got to take that leap. I mean, even now I tell myself, I got to take that leap,
Mm-hmm.
but the season is now.
Absolutely.
It's here, it's now. It's time to do it, you know.
And I love it. And with
So
and with that, I just want to end it right there because what you said right there ended it perfectly because the season is now, and we have to seize the moment. I believe the 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 COVID was the opportunity for everybody to make a pivot and look within themselves to figure out what do I really want to do. Do I want to go back to a job I really don't like, or do I want to start something for myself and don't do what I feel is my life's purpose or something I want to do because it makes me happy. And I see so many people now who are pivoting and doing what they feel is going to make them happy or something they really wanted to do. And I just love it. Love to see everybody that's taking a leap of faith out on on themselves and they betting on themselves instead of um, relying on a business to take care of them. So with that, I want to tell you that I'm extremely proud of you of what you're doing. However, I can be of assistance to
well,
you
thank you.
in your journey. I'm there for you. Um, I want you to hold on before I log out. I want to talk to you off air. But for the listeners, I hope you take heed to all this valuable information that she gave. Um, I think 2024 is the year that if we do the work and do the healing, that significant other, that husband or that wife, will be there waiting for you. Because once you do the work on yourself, you won't have to find that man or that woman. They'll find you. Hear what I just said? If you do the work on yourself
Yes.
and heal yourself, you don't have to go looking for that man or that woman because they'll come find you. So, with that being said, I want you all to like, subscribe, and share this video. Um, take heed to what we said today. Do the work. Take the quality time to do the work within, and know that love yourself the same way that we love you. With that being said, we are out. Peace. So